Greetings everyone, my name is Raziel and today it is finally time to look at some cards for the next upcoming expansion. The expansion is titled Inferno and is going to replace the current Prospero expansion, and today I get to show you all some cards for the new Space Wolves. With all of this out of the way, let us look at the first card I got. First up I have Sergeant Ingvar. This guy is a 3 energy Astartes with 4 attack and 1 HP, as well as the Unstoppable trait and the pack ability to gain flank. This is a pretty straightforward card, simple 3 energy 4 attack flanker with Unstoppable. These kind of cards are usually pretty good on their own. The conditional flank should be more than manageable, given you can just attack with your Warlord and then Ingvar gets to trigger its pack and gain flank. The only minor issue I see is with frontline units on the enemy board. You would be forced to bash them with your Warlord or other units before you can suicide Ingvar into them to take care of them. But given it's just a 3 energy troop, I think it's fair that this card doesn't quite literally solo everything for 3 energy and less. It does compete with Sergeant Gagor from the Galaxy in Flames expansion, who does not rotate yet. However, being a bit cheaper is definitely something that should not be ignored. And besides, is there really such a thing as too many flank troops? Next up, we have another flank troop, the Fang Javin Speeder. This is a 4 energy vehicle with 3 attack, 4 HP, flank, as well as the pack ability to gain cleave 1. And this pack is permanent. Now, this thing is pretty interesting. Once again, relatively straightforward, but the pack ability to gain cleave means that not only can this speeder trade 1-for-1 into an enemy troop, it can potentially also kill 2 other troops next to its target, as well as deal some nice chip damage to the enemy Warlord, which is definitely not something to underestimate. As with Ingvar, this troop also has competition in Sergeant Gagor, but I do feel like the Fang Javelin Speeder is probably either going to replace Gagor for your 4 energy flank troop, or you are going to run 2 Fang Speeder and maybe 1 Gagor, depending on the matter. In my opinion, the Fang Javelin has all the requirements to be a more than solid card in its own right. Next up, we got another vehicle, this time without flank, the Ancient Umbral Dreadnought. This is a 7 energy vehicle with 8 attack, 7 HP, as well as pack, deal 1 damage to all enemy units. In the modern metagame of HHL, there are usually 2 main reasons to not use high cost troops. They either do nothing the turn they are dropped, or they are easy prey to one of the most common high cost troops in people's decks, the Raziel. The Ancient Umbral manages to kind of evade both of those problems. On one hand, you got a pack ability, a pretty scary pack ability to be exact, which can nearly always be triggered the turn you play Ancient Umbral thanks to your Warlord plus eventual leftover troops from the last turn being able to attack. And on the other hand, Ancient Umbral has just enough attack to not give the Raziel a free kill with its Terror trait. Granted, it will still die from the 8 damage it receives, but at the very least it is going to take the Raziel with him. So while high cost troops are usually a very hard to justify addition to a deck, I can definitely imagine Ancient Umbral making his way into some decks at the very least. Next up, we have the epic Warlord of the Space Wolves, Gagor Fellhand. Gagor is a 2 attack, 35 HP Warlord with medium initiative, as well as the pack ability to gain cleave 1 on the next attack he makes this turn, and the regular ability that for 2 energy draws a troop from your deck. I know, yet another draw a troop or create a troop Warlord, but this pack ability is pretty interesting. And that's because the Space Wolves also get a new trait, which should have already been revealed already, but in case you missed it, it is called Hunt. And Hunt is essentially a reverse battle honor that triggers after attacking when a unit you attacked survives, even if the Hunt troop dies in the process. So you are probably going to aim to leave a lot of enemy troops at low HP after attacking them so you can trigger Hunt. And then afterwards you can use Gagor to kill 2 or 3 of them thanks to him getting cleave from his pack in the process. And I can definitely see the thought process behind this design choice, and I'm excited to see if it actually ends up being worth to play Gagor like this. For now, I can definitely see why they chose to give Gagor and the Javelin Speeder cleave on their pack abilities, and why the Ancient Umbral deals damage to all enemies on his pack. The potential Hunt synergies are definitely there, and I imagine there will be many more within the full Space Wolves line. Now, we are not yet done with today's reveals. I got one final card left for you all, the 4 energy legendary tactic Hunter Instinct. And this card gives your Warlord Pack deal 1 damage to a random enemy. And just like with the previous cards, I can definitely see the potential synergy with this card and the Hunt trait. The Hunt troop attacks and leaves a troop at, for example, 1 HP, and then this triggers Hunter Instinct's Pack ability, which then deals 1 damage to the troop to finish it off, while still giving you the value from the troop's Hunt ability. On paper this sounds pretty nice, but given Hunter Instinct says random enemy, this synergy between Hunt and Hunter Instinct seems too unreliable for my taste. You could also end up pinging another troop instead, which then puts it exactly out of range for the troop to survive from your other Hunt troop's attack. Thankfully, you could also utilize this card to try and deal lots of damage to the enemy Warlord, given you can also try to remove enemy troops with, for example, flank troops, to then trigger Hunter Instinct to hopefully deal 1 damage to the enemy Warlord and thus slowly chip away at the HP. However, once again, random enemy does make it a little unreliable in my opinion, but I do think that overall Hunter Instinct is a more than solid card that may or may not be end up held back by the RNG behind it. So, let's recap today's reveals. First up, we had 2 pretty solid new flank troops that in my opinion definitely have a strong argument going for them to include them in your deck. Then we had a decent high cost troop that finally does not seem like another pack filler. No pun intended. Second from last, we then had the Epic Warlord of the faction, who looks like he'll be pretty solid with the Hunt mechanic built around him. And finally, we had a solid legendary tactic that I can definitely see being played in some decks, even though that's kind of RNG dependent, which is going to take some more well thought out turns to minimize chances for the RNG to screw you over. Overall, the new Space Wolves seem like they will be playing pretty interestingly to me, similar to the old Space Wolves but not quite the same. But what do you think? Are these Space Wolves going to bring a fresh freezing breeze to the game? Or are they still going to be the same frenzied one-trick aggro deck as before? Let me know in the comments below. And that's it for me. I hope you all were able to enjoy today's reveals, and I hopefully will see you all next time.